This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for August 1st around 8 p.m. Well, we have a new tropical depression well east of the Windward Islands down in the east of the Lesser Antilles. And here's the Hurricane City model map on the front page of Hurricane City showing the 5 best performing models. And now these are gathered out of hundreds of forecast models out there. The only ones that are not shown on this map are the European model and the FSU Super Ensemble model. All the other models, most of the other models are up on this map at any given time. For example, if you mouse over our best performing model at this time, it is currently the Canadian model, the CMC model, and it's indicating that on the 6th of August, the system should be in the southeast Bahamas. And then you go down the list and take a look at some of these other models. And here's the Aviation Ensemble model. It has it heading towards just south of Jamaica around the same time on the 6th of August as a weak system. Sometimes when you mouse over these models, it'll give you the intensity. Sometimes it won't. It depends on whether it's a global or a early cycle model. But nevertheless, you can get an idea of what the models are generally thinking. Now, with these models on this map, the 5 best performers were very accurate with Tropical Storm Debby taking it northeast into North Florida, so pay close attention to the models on the front page of Hurricane City. While I have this map up, by the way, our current feature is the island of Martinique. The countdown clock has been activated. Next to the tracking map, we have 1 day, 15 hours, and 49 minutes until the sustained tropical storm force winds arrive in our current feature, which is Martinique, which has a tropical storm watch up at this time. And of course, when you click on the little bullseye over Martinique, it pulls up the current feature Martinique. You click on that, and then it takes you to the page with all the localized information from Martinique. So it's a great feature to use at Hurricane City. All right, let me go ahead and switch sources and talk about what's going to happen with our system in the future. And first of all, I wanted to mention that the shear is still a little bit high. Well, actually, this is the 48-hour shear map from the GFS model. And this is showing some high wind shear around 20 to 25 knots just north of the system here, which should be moving right into the Windward and Leeward Islands here, somewhere in between them, in about 48 hours. And the wind shear is going to be increasing a little bit at that time. But there's also some other factors to consider when you're looking at shear maps, that there are some things that are going for the system and some things that are going against it as it moves towards the Caribbean Sea. Let me go to some other images here. First of all, here's the ensemble models long range from the Weather Underground. And basically, we have 2 camps here. We have the models taking it into Central America, and then some models having it going into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. One model up here is probably the Canadian that takes it into South Florida, but the majority of the models tend to trend this thing west. And that's because the indications are there's this ridge up here is going to be around 1023 all the way until it gets into the Jamaica area. Then the steering currents are a little bit unclear, but pay attention to these ensemble models because sometimes they can give you an idea of what's going to happen in the future. But these may be shifting to the right in the next few runs because all indications are there's going to be a trough of low pressure out here in the western Caribbean Sea that could make this system turn more to the northwest. Now here are the intensity models. The models are really split on this. The only one that really cranks this up is the HWRF model, and this has it up here at a Category 1 hurricane when it gets in the western Caribbean Sea. The other models up here, such as GFDL, really struggle to hold on to this thing. And the SHIPS model takes it up towards a hurricane, and the IVCN takes it up towards a hurricane. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, whether the GFDL was right in indicating that this is not going to strengthen very much at all. And I'll give you the reasons why the GFDL might be onto something here with this system. And again, it looks kind of squashed here this evening on the infrared image here, and you can see the floater indicating a rather stretched out system. The center is somewhere back in here, and the system is kind of being sheared a little bit. But there may be some other reasons why this system is not developing very rapidly. First of all, here's the wind shear analysis from the University of Wisconsin. You can see that we have wind shear out of the west, just north of the system, on the northern portions of the system, around 20 to 25, 30 knots of wind shear. And that's why the northern part of the system is being choked off a little bit. Now, what you also notice when you look at this is that there's a little bit of a high-pressure ridge that's beginning to build over the system. Now, if this high-pressure ridge builds over the system, it should go ahead and continue to develop all the way through the Caribbean Sea. However, if it does not develop a high pressure ridge aloft, which will help to ventilate the system from wind shear, then the system is going to struggle. And let me explain why. Let me go to the next image here. And this is the steering map at the surface. This is the surface steering flow. And you can see we have a rather quick steering flow from east to west, around 20 knots here, give or take, forward speed toward the Leeward Islands. Now what happens is when you have a system moving that quickly, sometimes the upper level winds, which let me show you that image, this here is around the 300 millibar level, around 20 to 25,000 feet up, and this is way up above our system that's trying to develop. Now what you'll notice here is the steering flow is slower the higher up you go. So what might end up happening here is the low level circulation might end up outracing the convection, which we often see this time of the year with systems moving into the Caribbean. And this, what we might see end up here is what the GFDL is indicating is a remnant low outracing the convection, which will be at the surface. The surface flow is very fast, so the low level center would outrun the convection, which would be left in the upper levels up in here somewhere. So that's what the thinking is, at least from my perspective, is that the low level circulation might outrun the convection. We often see this when there's differences in the upper and lower steering flows, a big difference like this. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. All right, let me go back to the one other image I want to show you, and this is the sea surface temperatures with the models embedded on top of it. And this comes real in handy with systems moving through the Caribbean and the Atlantic. You can get an idea of where the warm sea surface temperatures are in conjunction to a developing system. And let me go ahead and switch back to another source here. And this is the sea surface temperature map with the models overlaid on top. Well, I guess we're not going to get it. Sometimes this map does not update frequently in the evening hours for whatever reason, but we have a big pocket of very warm sea surface temperatures here in the Caribbean Sea, upwards of around 84, 85 degrees. In fact, if we go into the Caribbean, let's take a look at the Caribbean buoys and kind of get an idea of the temperatures in the Caribbean Sea. And for example, we'll click on this buoy here, and we got temperatures, water temperatures here of 84 degrees. So this is the kind of temperatures that the system has to work with as it heads through the Caribbean Sea. Anyway, I'll be back with another update in a few days, maybe over the weekend. We'll get an update on what's happening as it's moving through the Windward Islands. We'll feature whatever island is taking the brunt of this, and then we'll watch this carefully over the weekend as it gets into the Caribbean Sea, and I'll have another update at that time. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.